Theater, in its many forms, including storytelling, dance, and ritual, has always been at the heart of BIPOC culture and has always been community-centric, a mirror where the community can see their truths, complexities, and questions. Theaters of color existed in the U.S. long before the start of the regional theater as we know it today, from the African Grove Theater, founded in New York City in 1821, Han Fuk Tong Chinese Dramatic Company's 1852 San Francisco debut, Centro Asturiano, founded in Tampa in 1902, and many others. Then, from the civil rights movement of the 50s, 60s, and 70s, a generation of artist activists birthed theaters of color with a new aesthetic interweaving a strong cultural identity and a political call to action. Legacy leaders of that time include Mako, East-West Players, 1965. Luis Valdez, El Teatro Campesino, 1965. Douglas Turner Ward, Negro Ensemble Theater, 1967. Miriam Colon, Puerto Rican Traveling Theater, 1967. Woody King Jr., New Federal Theater, 1970. Frank Chin, Asian American Theater Company, 1973. Muriel Miguel, Spider-Woman Theater, 1976. Lou Bellamy, Penumbra Theater, 1976. Jackie Taylor, Black Ensemble Theater, 1976. Tisa Chang, Pan-Asian Repertory Theater, 1977. Embedded in Theater Communications Group's mission and vision is a commitment to nurture and support Black Indigenous Theaters of Color, or BITOC, and Black Indigenous People of Color, or BIPOC. Inspired by the writings of W.E.B. Du Bois, we define BITOC as organizations that are founded and led by, for, about, with, and near BIPOC communities. This commitment isn't new. It spans decades. Back in 1996, the late playwright August Wilson passionately delivered his speech, The Ground on Which I Stand, at TCG's National Conference. Wilson challenged the theater field and its stakeholders. Black theater doesn't share in the economics that would allow it to support its artists and supply them with meaningful avenues to develop their talent and broadcast and disseminate ideas crucial to its growth. The economics are reserved as privilege to the overwhelming abundance of institutions that preserve, promote, and perpetuate white culture. The work continued, and significant milestones include a 2003 convening of leaders of color from 21 BITOC at White Oak Plantation, Florida, that resulted in the formation of the Consortium of Asian American Theaters and Artists, also known as CATA, and other BITOC engaging in peer mentoring on capital campaigns and advocacy. In 2018, while in St. Louis for our national conference, TCG brought together 47 BIPOC theater makers and individual artists to build new alliances and organize around shared values. TCG has been an incubator for conversations leading to the recently formed national organization, Middle Eastern and North African Theater Makers Alliance, MINATMA. We have also been nurturing the growth of a similar network for the Native theater community. All the while, our intergenerational leaders of color gatherings have grown from 25 people to hundreds. It's crucial, though, to understand the why in all of this collective work. There have and continue to be great disparities in our field, specifically as it relates to predominantly white theaters and BITOC. Of those disparities, a colossal one is around funding. As the DeVos Institute reported in a 2015 study, the 20 largest mainstream organizations have a median budget of $61 million. The 20 largest organizations of color have a median budget size of $3.8 million. We believe that a BITOC's operating budget size should never determine the amount of funding they receive. Helicon Collaborative released a study titled Not Just Money, in which it analyzed funding trends across the country and found that out of 41,000 cultural groups, symphonies, opera companies, regional theaters, art museums, ballet companies, etc., just 2% received 58% of all contributed income, measured as income from private foundations, public sources, and individuals. The 925 organizations in that 2% have annual budgets of more than $5 million and focus on Western European arts and serve upper-income, predominantly white audiences. More specifically, The study found that organizations focused on communities of color make up 25% of all arts nonprofits, but receive just 4% of all foundation giving. The study notes that these funding disparities are out of sync with a nation in which 37% of the population are people of color and 50% are low income. From the founding of the U.S., each generation of Indigenous and Black communities have been cruelly impacted by the twin traumas of stolen land and enslavement. These cruelties have evolved into the massive injustices witnessed in all facets of life in the U.S. According to the Bush Foundation, median white household wealth was nearly 8 times that of median Black household wealth in 2019, and nearly 13 times that of median Indigenous household wealth as of 2000, the last year for which data is available. In addition, the First Nations Development Institute examined support given to Native American organizations and causes from 2006 to 2014 and found that the total grant dollars awarded declined by 29%, a $35 million drop in funding. These funding disparities are why TCG was moved to create the Thrive program, with generous support from the Doris Duke Foundation and the Sheri and Les Biller Family Foundation. Thrive aims to support the ingenuity and tenacity of BITOC that have historically had a high impact with fewer funds. We are excited to spotlight the 21 recipients of our inaugural Thrive Grant program, share their artistry, and amplify their voices.
What was it like to have the lesbian bar experience? We built the roads, but I don't think anybody's ever noticed that.
Story to everything. Take stones, for instance. Are they just a composite of sand and minerals? Or are they the oldest living beings on earth? The grandmothers and grandfathers who have seen and heard everything.
We are standing for the women, mamas making masterpiece out of manna, women who must have rained down from heaven too, because where else would such a gift come from? Thank you for standing, for staying, for being the most here and the most holy of ground.
Thrive challenges the narrative that BITOC only have needs and challenges, and recognizes that they bring solutions to larger field issues. BITOC have historically been structural strengths of their communities, tackling issues from racism to health crises. BITOC were created out of necessity, the need to belong, the longing to see their stories and their bodies reflected on stages. We must continue to honor the visionary work of BIPOC leaders and understand BITOC history. We must also support BITOC as they meet their community's needs, most often in ways that go beyond theater making, and as they create community among values-aligned organizations and businesses. It's essential that we advocate for and nourish BIPOC communities and continue to champion stories told by BITOC. The BITOC we've mentioned here are just some of the many, many vibrant theaters that are creating work and serving communities across the U.S. We invite you to connect with them, experience their dynamic work, and then ask them, how can we help you do it better? Join TCG in the continued movement to thrive.